Now, a Turkish court has postponed the trial of two journalists facing espionage charges against the state. Prosecutors are seeking multiple life sentences for Can Dündar and Erdem Gül from the Turkish newspaper Cumhuriyet. Turkish authorities strongly reject a story published in the paper last year that claimed Turkey was delivering weapons to armed groups in Syria. Now, the case has drawn international criticism.
We
are not the ones who should stand on trial, but now journalism is on trial. People's right to be informed is being judged here. But when you look on the other side, there's a crime that was hidden from the people.
Now, for more on this story, we're joined now by Mehmet Celik, who's in the studio with me. He's a journalist at the Daily Sabah newspaper. Mehmet, thank you very much for your time. As you're well aware, there's been an international outcry about this trial. Is it politically motivated?
Well, I don't think it is politically motivated in the sense that, first of all, it is not politicians who are attending the court, it's the judges. So the court, we have the separation of powers in Turkey. So a court saw that this was a case that needed to be investigated, as the material that was published was considered confidential, and publishing this material was considered a national security threat. So an investigation has been launched. So it's not politically motivated, but I think the publication itself was politically motivated, as it comes from opposition journalists, opposition to government. Also, the leak that was provided to the journalist was found out that it was provided by government workers who at that time was working for the government, and was found that they were members of the FETÖ Gülenist organization, terror organization.
At the time that the journalists got their hands on this story, then what could they, do you think, have done with this story if they got it at the time from government sources?
Well, they got it from the government sources at the time that there was a gag order, publication ban. So first of all, when a journalist, I believe, what they should be doing is doing fact checks. There was no fact checks. Also, there were accusations against the government. And we should look at the, I think, sequence of events leading to the trial. Publication ban, as soon as it was put, after a year and a half, this story comes up. A week before the elections. Why did they wait a year and a half? First of all. Secondly, why did they decide to publish it when there was a gag order? There were other reporters who published the story prior to Cumhuriyet Daily who are not being arrested or who are not being tried. So,
considering that timeline and what you mentioned there, as you say, there was a long time before the initial accusations aimed at the government and this report coming out. Considering that those accusations perhaps were already in the public domain, would it have been perhaps better, why is this trial being brought now? Because perhaps some people will be saying that it's bringing international attention to a story that perhaps otherwise would have slipped under the radar and maybe even disappeared.
The timing could be debated, but at the same time, isn't it the courts or the prosecutors' job to investigate these issues? Whether you're a journalist or somebody else. This does not give you the freedom to, first of all, run over the laws, like for example, publishing material that is considered confidential as part of the national security. Secondly, one thing that we're missing is this is not a case against someone's opinion. It's against material publication, meaning there's tangible material that's being considered confidential, which is being published. So it's not like if it was Can Dündar writing an article expressing his opinion about the government, we could say, freedom of press should be debated, discussed here. But when there is tangible and concrete material being leaked, despite the ban, despite it being considered confidential, at a week before the elections, and also including accusations saying that the government is supporting Daesh. These are as a journalist and as somebody that walks on the street, as a citizen, shouldn't we be asking these questions?
Okay, Mehmet Celik, thank you very much for your time this evening.